Like a bolt out of the blue, God steps in to see you through. When you pray with all your heart, your dreams come true.
Good morning, everyone. I am so delighted to see all of you here this morning, and for all of you who are watching us on stream, that we're assuming it's working, if it's working, and if not, we'll load the video very soon. So it's great to see all of you here today, and I am feeling blessed. I'm feeling blessed in lots of ways. I know that the world's going through some amazing and awesome challenges. And I say amazing and awesome challenges because I'm convinced that every challenge that we face in some way is here to bring us into a higher awareness of our own unique divine nature. And so we can actually work with what is going on with the challenges in order to allow that presence and power to work through us, or we can run and hide and scared and cover our heads. And it doesn't mean that we don't take wise and prudent action and pay attention to those things that we can do to help us to strengthen who and what we truly are and to be able to express that more fully. But at the same time, we don't want to bury our heads so far into the fears that we are negating or allowing ourselves to succumb to them in a way that actually helps create and perpetuate even more of that which we are fearing. And so we've been working with a great series of lessons based upon a couple of things. One, this wonderful work by Unity, Fasting and Feasting, a spiritual practice for Lent. And so my thinking on this is that, Lent is this idea that we somehow give up something in order to experience more spiritual growth for ourselves. And oftentimes, we give up donuts and sugar and coffee and things that, we part of us that knows that on some level those are not necessarily the highest and best for us. But I'm suggest to you that part of our work is not just to give up those physical things that we're taking in, but also to let go of what we're taking in from the world that's not serving us and not really representing the truth of who and what we are and what we're really learning how to grow through. And in addition to that, letting go of those habitual patterns and ideas and thoughts and words and that inner dialogue that somehow keeps us stuck in the energies of limitation, of dis-ease, of separation. One of the things that occurred to me this week, and I don't want to in any way say that there's not a difficulty and a problem and a challenge going on in our life and our world, and I don't want to sound like I'm not being conscientious and aware of those who are going through this and really suffering from it in some way, or those who have moved out of their physical bodies because of what's going on. But I want us to really tune into an awareness that there is a higher power that all of us are a part of. And that when we go through opportunities and experiences like this, that it really is a way for us to remind ourselves of that higher power, of that presence that is always available to us, not necessarily out here in the world, but really is something that comes through us in recognizing that we exist on more than one level. That uniquely, every one of us is in a physical body and the physical body is an expression of our uniqueness. And these physical bodies are amazing, and they're wonderful, and they have amazing capacities for health and wholeness and healing. And in addition to that, we are energetic, intelligence, spiritual beings. And in truth, we are spiritual beings whether we're in a body or not. And we are not any way less spiritual because we're in a body. Does that make sense? And so we exist connected to, as Abraham calls it, the source. We are all connected to that one source of light, of life, of health, of wholeness, of abundance. And we are all here to uniquely express some aspect of that in some way. And we've all got a powerful path and journey here in these physical forms and in our everyday life to become even more conscious and aware of that connection that we have. And so I'm convinced that when we find ourselves confronted with some kind of challenge in life, the Abraham Collective, if whatever that is, basically says that part of what we're here to do is to experience what they call, not conflict, what's the word I'm looking for? Contrast, thank you. Contrast. To experience contrast. And the way we can, the purpose of experiencing contrast is so that we have the opportunity to be clear about what it is that we want and what it is that we don't want. But the way that our conscious mind works and the way our subconscious mind works is that we are participating in creating whatever we are holding in our thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and beliefs. And a belief basically is something that we continue to think over and over again. And we continue to think this same kind of train of thinking over and over again. We are participating in helping to manifest some aspect of that in some way. And so part of our unfolding is to begin to realize that we want to raise our consciousness in such a way that we're vibrating and that we're emanating thoughts and feelings and attitudes and beliefs that are drawing to us more of what we truly prefer to experience in life. And what we have a tendency to do is we have a tendency to spend a lot of time and energy focused on what we don't want. And so we want to really be conscious and aware of how much time and energy that we spend on trying to avoid and resist what we don't want. Because the energy of resisting what we don't want is actually putting more energy into what we don't want. And so when we're going through this challenge and this opportunity, we want to recognize that our work is to really become aware of the things we want to bring more into our awareness and our experience. So what really has occurred to me over this last week or so is that we really want to put a lot of our focus and our time and our energy toward thoughts that are lifting us into an energy, awareness, a consciousness, a vibration that is reflecting our wholeness, reflecting the life of spirit that is the truth of who and what we are, that is reflecting more of the energy and the vibration of vitality, of safety, of caring, of comfort, of well-being. And the more we put our energy toward that, in a real sense, what we're really doing is we're taking the wipes of consciousness And we're clearing up those things that are not really serving us and not really the energy and vibration that we want to emanate. Does that make sense? And so what I invite us to do during our time here today is to take some time to take the Clorox wipes of our thoughts and feelings and attitudes and beliefs and to begin to wipe away those fears, those worries, those anxieties, those concerns, not to the point that we are ignoring the physical and doing those things that are not necessarily, safe. I was reading from Eric Butterworth in our Celebrate Yourself book that we've been working with on this lesson. And so one of the things he says is that you don't go to an electrical socket and put your finger in an electrical socket and then pray that it doesn't shock you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Unity is practical Christianity, meaning that we do know and recognize that we are a part of a milieu that Charles Fillmore called the race consciousness. And unless we are really at the level of understanding and awareness and experience that says that we have an absolute knowing that we can put our finger in a socket and it won't shock us, don't do it. You follow what I'm saying? Because on some level, we're still a part of this race consciousness, and there is a belief system in the race consciousness that says that electricity will hurt you and kill you. And so you don't go and put your finger in a socket and just say, oh, I'm spirit, it doesn't bother me. Well, you could do that if you like, and you will find that you get translated more into a spiritual being. Quickly. And it's one way to do it. I don't recommend it, but if that's what So here's what I'm really want us to think about and encourage. A big part of what's going on, I'm convinced, is an emanation and a vibration. This coronavirus has a certain energy and vibration around it. And the primary energy and vibration that we see out in the world and see in the media is a vibration of fear. Wouldn't you agree? Yes. And it is projecting a lot of fear in ways that really are not necessary. But at the same time, we don't want to... There's a difference between having awareness and having consciousness and having understanding and following healthy, wise practices, and then reacting from a place of anxiety and fear. And so what I really want us to do is to really recognize that one of the most valuable things that we can do to help our physical bodies to be prepared for whatever is going on in life or in the world is to really enhance and strengthen our physical being. And we do that not by becoming anxious and fearful, because the very act of becoming anxious and fearful actually diminishes our immune system. Are you aware of that? And so as much as we can, we want to really practice those things that help us to move back into a place of center, back into an awareness of the one presence and one power, and our oneness and our connection with that. And to really begin to align our identification, not just with the physical body, but with a spiritual life of an energy that is higher and of a higher energy and vibration that is in a real sense it's kind of like putting rubber gloves on our consciousness. And I'm not saying we shouldn't at times do those things out here in the physical world that help protect us, but we also have to be conscious and aware that we need to begin to do those things internally that help us to really relax, to be peaceful, to be centered, to be clear, because in reality we're not really very bright when we're afraid. You realize that? You know, it's actually been shown that we don't use, when we become fearful and anxious and worried, we're only using a very small fraction of our mental capacity. And our brain actually starts to shut down because it's really, we don't, when we're in a tiger's coming to get us, we don't need to be thinking about, things that, the grocery list or what we're going to do tomorrow. We don't need to be thinking about what happened yesterday. And so the brain basically shuts those parts down. And we're not really fully conscious and aware when we're in a place of fear. And so what I would encourage us to do is, as much as possible, take some time, even in the midst of your everyday life, to take lots of deep breaths, to spend time in the stillness, to really listen to and reconnect with that part of you that knows the truth of your being, to really reconnect with the source of all creation, which is this amazing power and energy and intelligence that creates universes and stars, and actually can dissolve them just as quickly and easily as necessary. And so let's hold an awareness that we are a part of what is lifting planet Earth into a higher knowing, a higher energy, a higher vibration that is not really being negatively affected by the vibrations of a coronavirus. Now you may say, well, the coronavirus is still there. Well, it may be. But the question really is, can we really enhance our well-being to the point that, one, we're not really experiencing it, or two, if we do experience it, that we're able to go through it and overcome it? You follow me? So I think that we are really, the lessons from this week were really actually very apropos. Especially there's one, we talked about this last week, we were fasting from hiding behind the mask. Now, hiding behind a mask is really letting go of the need to put forth a brave face, or a face that somehow is not the truth of who and what we are, that we're coming from a place of identifying as something less than our true nature, that we're identifying somehow as something that is fragile. Because the reality is, the essence of us is absolutely unfragile, you might say. I don't know what's a good term for the opposite of fragile. Strong, for certain. Resilient. Powerful. We have those qualities and characteristics in us, and we want to begin to identify with those qualities and characteristics as opposed to those feelings of somehow being weak, less than. And so on Tuesday, we feasted on our authentic self. The authentic self is that unique divine nature that we were talking about. And so we align ourselves with more of the truth of who and what we are, which is, you are an amazing, amazing, creative and powerful being living in this amazing physical being that is, it's amazing to me how unique our physical bodies are and how well they can actually overcome challenges. We overcome challenges physically so many times. There are people in this congregation who've been through experiences that have been much more harmful than even this coronavirus. And they're alive and vital and vibrant and here and now, filled with life, filled with love, filled with enthusiasm and power. There are people in this room that I know have been able to overcome. Some of you know them. And there are people watching who've been able to overcome amazing difficulties and challenges because they have a power within them that they tap into. And they've been able to know the truth of who and what they are. And so we're moving more into our authentic self. Another part of our lesson this week was not overreacting. Isn't that apropos? There's a difference between responding and overreacting. And sometimes we have a tendency to see a particular situation that is a difficulty, that is a challenge, and it becomes even more of a challenge in our thinking, in our mind. In the very act of that, we actually help amplify the fears, the worries, the doubts. And so it doesn't mean that we don't keep our hands away from the electrical socket if necessary. Or if we're going to put our finger in the electrical socket, we have rubber gloves on. We do those things that really do take care of us, both physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. But we don't do it out of an energy of fear. We do it out of an energy of understanding and awareness and wisdom of what is highest and best for our overall well-being. Does that make sense? Love, exactly. And so we feast on being thoughtful, responding thoughtfully. Bless you. See, that's what we need to be doing more, blessing each other. We need to be spraying blessings. We need to emanate those ideas, those thoughts of blessing. We need to hold an image and awareness, a visioning of this planet as being healthy and whole, and all the people in it as being healthy and whole. We need to surround each and every one with love and light and life and awareness, and understand that each and every one is a unique spiritual being connected to that amazing power that creates universes. So we move through life thoughtfully, not in reaction, but in awareness, mindfully that in this present moment, we're safe. We are secure. We are in the place of wholeness and wellness and peace. And then also this last week, we were fasting from competition. It's amazing to me how one of the lessons, I think, that whether we're realizing it on a conscious level or not, this experience, this pandemic, is really affirming how we are all one. Because it doesn't care what political party you belong to. It doesn't care what color your skin is. It doesn't care how old you are, how young you are, believe it or not. It really is an example that we really are all amazingly connected. But we're all amazingly connected anyway. And so part of, I think, our waking up is to begin to recognize how amazingly connected we already are. Even if we are 6 feet apart, there is no separation. That you are part of an amazing life that is emanating through all beings. And recognizing our connection and our oneness is one of the ways that we actually can help to overcome all of the fears of separation. It doesn't mean that we can't be 6 feet apart. It just means that even if we are 6 feet apart, there's nothing that really keeps us from separate from who and what we truly are. Now that is provided that we don't in some way in our thinking and feeling keep ourselves separate from who we truly are, from our source. If we're coming from that understanding that we are all connected to the source, there's no way we cannot also then be connected to everything, to everyone. You know, all of my little fingers seem like, if I just kind of do this, looks like everybody's separate. But we're not. We're all connected. We're all connected at the source. And so that connection is one of the things that helps to keep us whole and well, and understanding that we are expressions of absolute well-being, absolute good. part of our lesson for this week also is an understanding that we live in one universe. One universe. And I was thinking about this idea of the one universe. And the word universe actually means one song. And so we are a part of an amazing vibration that is the music of the spheres. It is the music that is, the universe is trying in every way to sing itself through every expression that we are a part of. And every one of you has a unique energy and vibration that's a part of that song. And the symphony is incomplete without your note. And your note is important, and it is special. And the universe is trying to sing itself through you in ways that really not only enhance your well-being, but enhances the well-being of the whole song, the whole symphony. And so part of our reflection and meditation is to really begin to tune ourselves into the note that the universe is trying to sing through us. And to tune ourselves into a knowing that that note is here for a very, very specific and special purpose. And, it's not about me learning how to sing your note or you learning how to sing my note. It's about helping each other to harmonize our voices together. And by harmonizing our voices together, and sometimes our harmonizing is actually discordant, and that's part of the music as well. Some of the great symphonies actually have very discordant sounds, and then they resolve back into harmony, and then they go into discord again, and then they come back into harmony. And that's what makes an amazing symphony in life. I think our universe is doing that also. And so we have times that seem discordant, but everything does resolve back into harmony. It is the nature of the universe. And so just hold that awareness, that knowing that we are still vibrating in such a way, we're holding an awareness and holding an energy of wholeness, of life, of purpose, of peace, of power. And I know that as a result, we're all going to be better off. We're going to be lifted into a higher awareness, into a higher vibration, into a higher energy. And we're going to be able to go through this experience, and we're going to be looking back on it some years from now, maybe some months from now, maybe a week or two from now. Who knows? We don't know. But this will pass, and we will all, in some way, be strengthened by our awareness of moving into a greater experience of our wholeness and well-being.